So this video is just to give you some bare basics on how to use NVivo to do your qualitative data analysis. Before I get into it, I want to just kind of explain the logic or rationale behind NVivo. So NVivo is not really going to do anything that you couldn't do manually. So either by printing out transcripts and highlighting or cutting things up, or in Word. So I have on the screen right now a couple of sort of sample anonymized transcripts to give you an example of what I mean. So one of the ways that I could code these transcripts, and by the way, I'm not going to get into the details of the different types of coding, the different approaches to coding. That's a whole nother subject. And that's something that you need to be considering as part of your methodology section. So how it is that you come up with your codes is really something that you need to decide as part of your project. So everything that I'm talking about here is really an example of one way of doing it, but it's really important that you understand the overall coding process when you are doing your own project. So if I have these two transcripts in front of me, what I could do if I decided not to use NVivo, I could go through here and I could, so this is a project, let's say, about the involvement of volunteers in refugee support services. So I could go through and I could highlight with different colors. So if I highlight that, or I could say, this one could be a different color. This one could be a yellow again. Maybe this one is blue. I'm choosing completely randomly right now. And then I could do the same thing with this second transcript. So highlighting different sections, if these are the different themes that I'm interested in exploring. But the problem that we have here is that then we just have these two documents with a whole bunch of different colors, and it's a little bit difficult to know, what we want to see perhaps is all of the pink sections together, all of the yellow sections together, all of the blue sections together. Essentially, what NVivo is doing is just making it really easy to do this highlighting and then all at once see everything that's highlighted, let's say in yellow. So the yellow would represent one of your codes and it pulls that all together for you. So that's just a background of what it is that NVivo is doing for you. It does much more than that, but that's not what I'm going to get into today. So when you open a new project in NVivo, this is the Mac version. The PC version will look a little bit different. If there are major differences, I can make another video showing that, but there are also a ton of instructional videos on YouTube that you can search for. I just wanted to make one specifically because sometimes some of the instructional videos give you more details than you necessarily need for the projects that you will be doing. So when you open NVivo for the first time, you will be prompted to either open an existing project or create a new project. You will want to create a new project, and this is what it looks like when you have a new project open for the first time. So the first important thing that you want to do, this where it says files right here, is where you will upload any documents that you want to analyze in NVivo. The way that I do this is when I have it clicked right here on files, I just right click in this empty section right here and do import files. And so I would say import documents. And then I will choose the documents that I want to upload, which is these two transcripts. So that can take quite a long time. I've actually cut a couple of minutes out of the middle there. My computer is particularly slow, but be patient. Sometimes it is a little bit slow in uploading the documents. So here we have our two transcripts. So if I double click on this one, we have the interview with Alex. So in a lot of ways, this is not very different to kind of a word processing tool, but what this offers you to do is that highlighting that I did in the Word document, what you'll be doing here is code. So you'll see when I highlight here, I can click on code. So this is one of the ways that we can essentially create our themes or our codes in the NVivo software. So there are two ways that we can do this. I'll just show you first. Our codes will be listed here once we have created them. So they will be listed in a file in this list here. So there are two ways that you can create your codes. One is if you have decided on your codes ahead of time. So again, I'm not going to get into the details of the different types of analysis that you may be doing. This is important that you should know this is part of your methodology about how it is that you arrive at your codes. So if you have a pre-existing coding framework, you can create the codes before you do the highlighting or the coding of your transcripts. So to do this, if you are highlighting the node section here, you can right click and create top level node. So I will just call this theme 1. I can create another, again, I'm right clicking to get this menu here. Theme 2. So I wouldn't be calling these theme 1 or theme 2. I would be calling them something maybe for this project, I might be calling it challenges. I might be calling it opportunities. I don't know. You can also include codes underneath this. So essentially this is a different category. So you can create a new node when you click on a node. So this is, let's say, I don't know, challenges. So that ends up being what we call a child node. Again, this is just kind of different ways of categorizing the themes or the codes that you have as you analyze your data. So I may have several that fit under this first theme. The other thing is, once you create them in this structure like this, you can move them around as well. So it may be that as you do your analysis, you can kind of rethink the way that these themes relate to one another. So you can kind of move them back and forth. Maybe theme 2 fits underneath opportunity. There's different, so you can feel free to move these around. The other way that you can create codes is by highlighting your text, clicking code right there, and then you can create a new code by just typing it in the bar right here. So theme 3, in which case create at new. That's what I would want to do. And then you'll see that that now pops up in your list of nodes here. So I could go through and start coding, either creating the codes as I go, or by choosing the codes that already exist that I've created in my list here. So I will just randomly code at these different themes because I'm trying to just give you an idea of what this looks like. So you'll see the way that it's currently set up, once you've highlighted something, it won't immediately show up. It won't be visible. What you need to do is look at view, and then I recommend choosing coding stripes and all nodes coding. So what this does is this shows you on the side here what bits of text have been coded with the different codes or themes. Another option you could do is highlight and put codes for all nodes. The problem with that is you can't necessarily tell which code you have chosen for different parts of the text. So I realized after I recorded that you couldn't actually see the menu that I was pulling down, so I'll just show you again from a different view menu that's from within the NVivo application. Essentially, you just go to view here, and you can turn the highlighting either off or on. So currently we have it on. I can turn it off if I don't want it to view like that, or if I want to turn the coding stripes, which are on the right there, I can turn those off, or I can turn them on for all nodes coding. On this version of NVivo, I am not able to choose different colors for the highlighting, but I believe that in different versions, on the PC version, you may be able to choose different colors for your different codes, and that might make it a little bit more visually easier to distinguish. So I'm going to just very quickly put some codes in, or do some coding on my other transcript so I can give you an indication of why it is that this is particularly useful. So coding this as theme 2, as opportunity. Again, I could, as I go, decide to, I don't know, do another code as strengths. I could also, so if I go back to my list here of my nodes, so we see our new code that I've just created of strengths. Maybe I want to put that under theme 1. I can continue to move these around as I do my coding. Another thing that you'll notice within these columns, you can see how many times you have coded or used each one of these. So you'll see that I've coded things 3 times with this particular code opportunity on 2 different files because I have these 2 transcripts of Alex and Sarah. So once I've gone through and coded my entire transcripts, what I can do, and this is where I think the value in NVivo is for student projects, what you can do is you can double click on one of the codes and you'll see all of the times that you have coded data with this particular theme. So the reason that this is useful is that rather than going through an entire 10, 20 page document and trying to find out every time somebody talked about, I don't know, the challenges, or every time somebody talked about so let's say with my project with refugee integration, maybe people frequently talk about the language barrier. Maybe this is a theme that as I read my document, my transcripts, I realize, oh, people are frequently mentioning the language barrier as being a real issue. I don't want to necessarily go skim through my transcript over and over again and find every time that people mentioned language barrier. What I can do, if I've coded each of those times, then I can pull it up once I've coded things. So you'll see it shows the codes each of the times I've coded in both of these transcripts. So this is where it becomes, when you have multiple different transcripts or documents and you want to see the themes that you have coded across the different transcripts, this is what it really enables you to do. Now, there are a ton of other functionalities in NVivo, but I really think that for the purposes of semester projects, I think that this is probably the main one that it's important to know. So it's really just about, uploading files, your list of nodes, so the list of codes, and how it is that you can code different files. Now, I think that there are also other ways that you can actually do the coding of files. I've just shown you the 2 that I know, really just highlighting and clicking code here. You can also highlight and right click to code selection at existing nodes. That's another way that you can do it. I should also note, it's also possible if you make a mistake and you want to uncode a selection. So I can highlight here where I have coded at theme 2. I can right click, uncode selection at theme 2. So that would remove the coding from that particular section if for some reason I change my mind and I don't think that that code reflects that particular section of text. I think that those are the main themes. I may have missed some elements, but I would recommend, I think that there are probably, I know that there are lots of other instructional videos on YouTube. There's also, if you Google for NVivo support, QSR International has a lot of written, very useful guides. But as I said, I think I really just wanted to make this video to let you know what I think is the most relevant. So it may be that if you look at other instructional videos, they may go into more detail with things like, for instance, memos, with searching. I don't think that it's necessary to get into all of those details, particularly when any of the projects that you're doing at the moment, you're looking at max 10 to 15 interviews. It shouldn't be too complex. But if you have questions, there are different ways to search for different codes in your data. That might be useful. Actually, one thing I will say, one thing that might be useful is if you know that a particular word has come up or a phrase has come up frequently across your interviews, you can use queries. So queries here is a way to search for text throughout your different transcripts or documents. So this is another way that you can, Well, I don't know why that has happened. That will be a problem with my computer rather than the software. But if you have questions about that, please let me know and we can have a discussion about it.